Hello everybody, and welcome on back to Agitprop in the Morning, the show where we, blah blah blah, just forget it, okay? I'm your host, Absent Atlas, and welcome. Today I just feel like hopping into news coverage, so let's get into it. Andrew Tate. The internet's top G has been banned on both Facebook and Instagram. Now, if you don't know Andrew Tate, first of all, I would ask you, how the hell have you not heard of him? He's literally a god among men. But yeah, Andrew Tate, the internet's top G. I guess he's this kind of incel, hyper-misogynistic influencer who has been getting quite a bit of attention as of late. Really, he's quite the character with a resume including feats ranging from claiming women bear responsibility for being sexually assaulted to being accused of sex trafficking, which led the Romanian police to raid his mansion. But that's a story for another time. Anyways, guys, I was just looking at this BBC article to make sure I had my facts right, but look at this cover photo. This is a photo from 2016 when he was on Big Brother, which is the show that made him famous. Famous because he attacked a woman on the show and got kicked out for that. But you know what? Famous is famous. But as I look at this photo, maybe it's just me, he looks like such a fucking nerd, dude. Especially in comparison to 2022 Andrew Tate. You see, present day Andrew Tate is not a nerd. A top G, like himself, could never be a nerd. He is, however, very much lacking in brain cells. See for yourself.
Andrew, do you believe the Earth is flat or round, spherical, globe?
Round.
You believe it's round, right? But when you walk outside, it feels like it's flat.
Brother, and I
It looks flat, it feels flat, but you believe it's round. Why do you believe the Earth is round?
Because I have personal experience that would prove to me that the Earth is round.
Oh, you have personal experience. What happened? Did you go up to the fucking moon? Is that how you figured it out?
Exactly. I flew up into space and I looked down on Earth and I saw a big circle.
That's crazy. Okay, you don't have to. Hey, listen, you don't have to concede on that point, but I think you and I both understand the importance of scientific, the importance of empirical evidence in that one, right?
But regardless of this fact, Tate has opened up his program, Hustlers University, in order to spread his lack of brain cells to our young and impressionable youth. And it is definitely, totally not 100% a pyramid scheme. A top G like Andrew would never do this to the boys. As far as my opinion on Andrew Tate's suspension goes, his content just isn't funny enough to justify having it on Facebook or Instagram. So to Andrew Tate, I say, get fucked, swag idiot. And also, get fucked, tater tots. Go cry about it in my Twitter replies. No, but in all seriousness, there are two ways of thinking about this ban. The ban could be a good thing because it means less people, particularly, young, influential men, will see his content and become radicalized by it. It also means that these red-pilled based communities, they can't rally behind him, so it makes it harder for the movement to gain traction that way. On the other hand, the ban could also be a bad thing, because it means that we have less opportunities to debunk these conspiracy theories. Like, Andrew Tate obviously isn't the main source of these, of the whole incel movement, so instead of people being able to confront the misogynistic talking points as they come up, maybe these people are being radicalized even more by the fact that they can't ask these types of questions. Maybe the first one is a little bit more true than the second because, especially with right-wingers, sometimes they are just not open to this sort of logic and reasoning, right? And the fact that they can't ask these types of questions, that's such a Tucker Carlson-esque talking point. But I digress. Anyway, I really couldn't tell you whether this ban is a good or bad thing. Ultimately, I think this sort of thing is something we'll just have to figure out in the next few decades as a society. But for now, I say to Andrew Tate, get fucked, swag idiot. Next, let's dive right back into the Mar-a-Lago raid rabbit hole. First of all, there's been this big shift among right-wingers, which I kind of talked about in the first episode, but who are now increasingly upset by America's law enforcement. I don't know how, but you used the wrong formula and still got the right answer. I mean, the left answer. Anyway, more and more people are calling for the affidavit that justified the raid to be released to the public. And to be honest, sometimes I wonder why people want to see that affidavit so badly. I mean, I actually don't really, seriously, wonder that. Obviously, the liberals want it so they can get dirt on Trump, and they will try to use that and hopelessly try to convince conservatives that Trump might just be a little bad. The conservatives want it because they're telling their supporters that the info in the affidavit won't justify the raid, and the second it comes out, they will just dismiss the contents of the affidavit as fake news or rigged by the radical left FBI run by Joe Biden and Joe Manchin. But if we're thinking rationally here, Trump is so fucking shady and has been accused of so much shit that the FBI probably could have found 15 good reasons to raid his house. Trump looks like he might actually be facing legal consequences for at least one of his crimes, and what everyone's concerned about is finding a good reason that he was suspicious enough for the feds to raid him. Like I said, I actually don't wonder why, because a lot of Americans, like a very large portion of the American populace, is painfully misinformed about politics. But just like, if this country were at least a little bit fucking normal, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there is good reason, I will say, to be curious about the contents of the affidavit and, like, what Trump actually did to get in this much trouble. But it's, like, just stupid to question whether or not Trump was suspicious enough to be raided. Like, at this point, with all the evidence we have. But for now, we will have to wait and see what this affidavit says. So tune in next week for more radical propaganda sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party. And finally, our last story for today's show, Joe Manchin goes Joker mode. That's right. If you don't know, folks, Joe Manchin is a U.S. Democratic senator from the state of West Virginia. Now, West Virginia is an awfully weird place for a Democratic senator to come from, which probably explains why Joe Manchin is also pretty fucking weird. Basically, Joe Manchin is essentially the god of neoliberals. Like, neolibs have a shrine for Joe Manchin that they pray to every night. That's how neoliberal he is. And being the god of neolibs, he proceeded to derail just about every part of Biden's agenda. It's essentially made him America's evil supervillain, which is a fact that last Friday, he finally accepted. At the Friday roundtable, Manchin responded to his critics in both parties, including Democrats who say he killed the Build Back Better Act last year, and Republicans who say he betrayed their trust by supporting the Inflation Reduction Act. I didn't kill anything, I just couldn't. I couldn't go home and explain it. And like I always said, if I can't explain it, I can't support it. And I didn't think we could handle that piece of legislation. So, on this one, I can. Now they're saying, oh, he betrayed us and he's gone this way now. Okay, so I'm the villain. I can be the hero and the villain all in this 24-hour period. That last sentence, it kind of confuses me. Like, is he implying that he has an alter ego? Like, by day, he's the evil Senate supervillain, Joe Manchin, and by night, he's Dark Manchin, who, volunteers at a soup kitchen for the homeless. But regardless of his alter ego, Joe Manchin finally cracked and went Joker mode. Nobody in their right mind would go through what I've gone through, my staff, for the last 8 months, talking all the crap we've taken from everybody in the country, come back and say, boy, that felt so good, I want to do some more of that. As you can see, Joe Manchin's origin story is quite a tragic one. But finally, the woke mob's reign of terror ends, and the reign of Joker Manchin begins. I used to think my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's all a comedy. Never mind. Thank you so much for watching today's show. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps a ton. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all later.